Greg Ferris back here at Ferris for Fitness once again, and today I'm going to be touching on a topic that I get a lot of questions about. I actually got a specific question in my inbox, so again I'm just doing another kind of Q&A video to as help as many people out as I can. But the topic of discussion is deloads. I got a question from Dylan, pretty much just talking about how I'm going to use deloads running 5-3-1. Excuse me. I don't like to tell people I'm running like exactly 5-3-1 because I don't follow the exact same protocols. You know, I kind of do like a 5-3-1 and power hypertrophy like hybrid training. So I definitely, I mean, I don't have like a name for it. I just call it 5-3-1 fat hybrid because that's kind of what it is. If you just look at the how I train, as far as, you know, I use the 5-3-1 as far as a template for a lot of my main exercises, of course, the 4 main lifts in 5-3-1, and then I also use kind of a fat principle using, you know, different rep ranges and also, you know, different rest periods in between sets and things like that. But specifically, all I wanted to talk about in this video was Dylan's question, who just asked how I'm going to incorporate deloads personally into my program. So if you don't know what a deload is, I'm not going to talk a ton about it. And it's kind of, I would say, controversial as far as, you know, when you should take it, if you need it, and how often, and there's probably a million different opinions out there, so I'm not going to act like mine's perfect. But essentially, the concept behind a deload is pretty simple. Is that you're just giving yourself an active recovery in a sense. You know, sometimes people will just take the route of, you know, every 3 months I just take a week off from the gym and don't lift for a week, or every month, or like, you know, every 4 weeks or every 6 weeks, or some people don't take any time off at all. A deload, in the comparison to that, is you're not really taking time off, as in you're still going to the gym, but for instance, say if your normal bench press was like 200 pounds, you might go in there and just do like a few sets of like 140, 150 pounds, you know, typically doing, you know, sub-maximal weight. So maybe doing like 60% of what you normally do on like all of the exercises. And some of the pros of just doing a deload, you can work on your form. Essentially, you're not going to lose strength, but you're probably not going to lose that much strength in just a week anyways. If you would lose any, you'd probably even gain strength if you were really like overreaching or overtrained. That kind of break, a full week off would probably help you. But essentially, that's what people use it for. You know, working on form, just an active recovery. I don't want to say central nervous system recovery because that's a whole other topic. It's really complicated, but you know, just overall recovery. Again, your muscles probably aren't overtrained, but it's also a psychological thing. You know, it's just a kind of a break from, you know, the heavy poundages that we typically inflict on ourselves a lot. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what a deload is: active recovery, working on your form, injury prevention, things like that. How necessary are deloads and how you want to do them is completely individual. I'm not going to touch on that. All I'm going to do is personally share what my plans are as far as what I've done in the past. I'll touch on, I guess, and then I'll talk a little bit about what my plans are for the future. So essentially, when I ran 5-3-1 the first time, just for like 3 or 4 months, and then I got to kind of like the harsher parts of my prep where I kind of stopped using it because I just wasn't making strength gains anymore. I did the typical, you know, what you're supposed to do as far as deloads, but I didn't deload my assistance work. So for instance, if it was my bench press day, you know, I would do my 3 sets of bench presses set on my worksheet or my Excel sheet, whatever, but then I would still hit incline hard, still hit, I usually have bench press on like my upper heavy days, so I would still hit like incline heavy. I'd have a heavy row, a heavy pull, and then maybe like some heavy weighted dips or something. So the assistance work still stayed intense, I would say. I didn't ever deload that. And that worked really well for me, and that's my plan essentially with the off season, or whatever you want to call it, now that I'm bulking, right? So I actually kind of made up my mind just recently because I just completed my last workout of the 5 workouts that I do. So my first kind of cycle of 5-3-1, if you will, today, and I had my overhead press day. So essentially what I did this week was I went to the gym, say like Monday was my upper heavy day, and I did Whatever it said, I think it was like I got up to like 120 pounds or something on my deload weights. If you're familiar with the program, it's all set up on percentages and whatnot. So essentially just your sub-maximal for a few sets of your main exercise. But then what I did for everything else, I just kept it the same. You know, I did like 80 pounds on dumbbell incline. I did heavy one-arm rows, heavy close grip pull down. You know, everything was the same as it was the previous week. So I didn't deload my assistance work at all. And I did that the same with my other workouts, my other 4 workouts, or I guess 3, because I have a chest and arms workout that I should film for you guys, but I have a chest and arms workout where I don't have a main component because 5-3-1 just works with bench press, squat, deadlifts, and overhead press, right? So essentially that's what my plan is. My plan is to follow the deloads for the main exercises to a T. So every 4 weeks, I'm going to definitely deload on bench, squat, deadlift, and overhead press. I think that's really important. I think that's probably the most important part of a deload is those heavy poundages that you inflict on yourself. You know, my thought process is pretty simple behind it with most of my training as well. You have to recover a lot more from a 400-pound deadlift or 250-pound bench press, you know, or things like that, as opposed to, you know, cable push downs or, you know, bicep curls or dumbbell flat press or, you know, something like that. You know, stuff that's still useful in a program, but it's obviously not taking the toll on you. Another thing is just having a deload in there is a big deal, not necessarily with such hypertrophy, but with strength. And I'm using 5-3-1 as kind of a basis for strength. I'm not really under the impression that I'm going to be getting build so much muscle off of using the 5-3-1 progression, but I'm hoping that just getting physically stronger, which I think is a really, really important thing that people underestimate how important that is. Hopefully that strength, you know, strength in those 4 main lifts can kind of transfer over to some assistance work, transfer over into that more hypertrophic rep range that I'm also training in. Obviously, I'm not just training with the 5-3-1. You know, that's why I call it kind of a 5-3-1 fat hybrid, because I go from anywhere from like 2-3 reps all the way up to like 15 depending on the exercise and the day and whatnot. So Dylan, hopefully that answers your question about deloads. I just wanted to give you a quick little background on it if you weren't familiar about deloads, and that's how I'm personally going about it. One other thing I forgot to mention, I am going to just keep the assistance work the same. Like I said, still trying to progress, still trying to hit it hard, but then every 3 cycles, so this would be 12 weeks, with my individual program, I'm going to go ahead and just take a week off. So, or I might just go in there and do the 4 main lift deloads and then just do no assistance work. So every 3, my plan is to, again, say it for the 20th time, follow the deloads like my program does on the 4 main lifts, keep the assistance work as is, pretty heavy, and that gives me, again, I'm not a huge fan of going in there and just going like 50-60%. You know, I know it's really helpful for form and things like that, and that's why I'm doing it for the major compound movements also, because form should really be stressed on those more than anything. But taking those deloads seriously, definitely following those to a T, keeping the assistance work how I'd like for 12 weeks, maybe even 16, but most likely just 12. And then so that 12th week I would just take completely off, or just like I said, go in there and just do my deload sets and be out. So that's how I'm going to incorporate deloads. I'll probably update you guys on like how I think it's going, because it's definitely a new thing for me with deloads. You know, when I first started off training, no deloads, you know, it's every day, work hard, bust your ass, you know, kind of the hardcore mentality that you kind of learn with more training experience, that, you know, there's not every day is hardcore, not every day is PR day. You know, you really I don't want to say pace yourself, but you kind of have to be smart about training. You know, not every day is just that intense, and it doesn't need to be, is the fact of the matter. You know, you don't need to train to failure all the time and things like that. So hopefully that answered your question, Dylan. Thank you guys for just asking all these questions. I have a ton more in my inbox. I'm just trying to get to them in timely fashion, also trying to get things that are kind of relevant to people. So thank you guys for watching the video. If you have your own question for me, anything like that, comment down below, hit me up in the inbox or anything. Make sure you guys like the video, Make sure you guys go follow my Fairs for Fitness Facebook page. I'm really trying to put up more stuff on that. I'm also going to have a Optimum Nutrition Platinum Pre, their new pre-workout coming out soon. I'll have a review up on that probably pretty soon. So stay tuned for that, guys. Thank you for the support as always, and I'm out, guys. See ya.